Hi there, welcome back to Red Spectre.
Where we now have video.
Well, I mean, we had video, but I didn't feel like turning it on.
We got our act together, basically.
So, we had a really long episode about the slide to the right of the Democrats, and it's something that a lot of people have a lot of pushback on, and they don't really want to accept that it's a real problem, and they want to believe that Trump disappearing is going to magically fix everything. And there was a clip. Was this from today?
Yeah, it was from today on The Hill Rising with Crystal Ball and Cigar.
Yeah, so I want to go ahead and just put this little clip in here just so you guys can see what we're talking about.
What is the effort going to look like in order, I guess, to define Joe Biden throughout this campaign? What are some of the issues that you think you're most going to be talking about in the campaign?
Well, I think clearly, Joe Biden has a record and something that it's not that he does not like to run on, whether it is dealing with the health crisis that happened while he was vice president of the United States, or the fact that he has had to go so far to the radical left to try to attract Bernie supporters, keep Bernie supporters. Make no mistake, Joe Biden is no moderate. He is running on a very liberal platform, trillions of dollars of new tax increases, and even as we see the rest of this Democrat primary unfold, you see him going further and further to Bernie Sanders on the policy ideas, which is really going to alienate him from mainstream America as this general election unfolds.
I found this video really interesting, and it is worth going and watching the whole thing just because it's kind of interesting to watch, and they talk about Joe Biden's new podcast and all of this stuff. But the really interesting part is the part that we played for you where the guy, what's his name? Anyway, the Trump campaign guy, whose name I have now forgotten, he talks about how Biden has shifted so far to the left to try to meet Bernie's supporters, that he's now this radical left-winger, and how they're going to attack him on that. And this is just so obviously and laughably not true. Biden has made basically zero concessions to Sanders and his platform. I think the one thing that he's changed his mind on is that he's now willing to forgive student debt for people up to a certain income bracket, not everybody, like Bernie was wanting to do, just up to a certain income bracket. He hasn't shifted on Medicare for all at all. His climate change policies are still crap. He's basically just shifted on nothing. And it's really interesting to see this guy claiming that he's a radical leftist, because this is that shift to the right that we were talking about in our first episode. It's happening basically right in front of our eyes. They are going to paint Joe Biden as this radical leftist
At exactly the same time that Democrats are actively going, no, he's so moderate, he's so much better than Sanders.
Right.
The same dialogue simultaneously.
Yeah. And they need to paint him as this radical leftist if they want to win, because they need to manufacture opposition to him. They need to get the right-wingers all riled up against him so that they're sure to go out and vote for Trump. Yeah. So they're going to portray him as this radical leftist, and that will be, in effect, shifting that Overton window to the right, which will create a new center. So then in the next election cycle, the Democrats will shift to the right, into that new center, because they always have to hold the center.
Yeah, we're not really gonna have a choice except to go further right than like Bloomberg next time, which is basically Trump.
Yeah. So it's kind of terrifying to watch it happen in real time. Like we talked about this in theory and how it's happened historically, but I'm watching this morning, and I just, like, it was kind of a shock, because I was just like, holy shit, it's happening. Here it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's definitely a problem that's easier to see when they're openly saying it. I don't know. The claim is ridiculous, obviously, because they're having other interviews with Biden, and they're talking about things like, well, now that this giant pandemic is going on, have you shifted any of your views at all towards, being a reasonable human being?
No.
And, yeah, he's like, no, reasonableness won't fix this problem. What we need to do is give money to private industries. We need to treat the banks and the hospitals the same way and give them bailouts.
That was a good impression.
Well, I don't give a shit what he sounds like.
Right. I think it also really illustrates the futility of running moderates for Democrats, because they're going to paint you as a left-wing radical no matter what you do.
Yeah, but, like, the flip side is, every single person that says that Biden is electable is actually saying that they would rather have Donald Trump than Bernie Sanders. That's what that phrase means when Democrats say it. They're saying, I don't think Sanders is electable because I wouldn't vote for him. So, a lot of this is, they shift to the right, but then the actual Democrat, the party itself shifts because the people who are members shifts. And, I don't think they're picking up Republican voters, but I think that every time they do this, they probably do lose left-leaning people.
Mm-hmm.
I assume you're not going to bother to register for that kind of shit in the future if they keep doing this. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't register as Democrats anymore because there's just no point.
Yeah, and it kind of sucks because I would say that it's still possibly worth voting for more local elections, because a lot of times you will have much more progressive people running in local elections.
Yeah, but
if you have become so disillusioned with the way that the Democratic Party is run, and you can see how broken it is and how nobody really cares what voters want, then yeah, I wouldn't blame somebody for not bothering to register, because what's the point,
well,
really?
and you can register to vote without registering as a Democrat.
Okay. I'm not positive how that works on more local levels. Do you have to be a registered Democrat to vote for a Democratic congressperson?
No. In the general election, doesn't matter. General
right,
election.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's true.
So that's the entire
But you
issue.
do if they're primarying somebody, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but the primaries are fixed. I'm not going to say they're always fixed.
On a more local level, I would say they're slightly
they're fixed.
More Democratic, because we've seen...
Nancy Pelosi showed up to support a Republican. They're fixed.
They're not... But we've also seen progressives beating Democratic incumbents.
Mm-hmm.
So, there is some room to get people in there. I'm not saying that they're fair at all and that there's not a lot of shenanigans going on within the DNC, but I would say at a more local level, it's slightly...
I don't think that the benefit of giving them credibility and making them believe that you support them is worth the possibility of that. The fact of the matter is, progressives don't get support. Progressives can't pass anything. Progressives have no power except to angrily bang their fist on the table and say that we need to do better.
It's true.
And, people are mad at AOC right now for not being willing to support other progressives and, calling Pelosi Mama Bear and shit. And...
Well, that's gonna have to be cut.
Is it? By the time it was noticeable, the inside of my cheek was like, oh, here. fuck were we even talking about?
I don't know. But we had gone off on a tangent. I'm not sure.
Oh
if
yeah,
we
no.
do.
I mean, the question was like whether primaries are like necessary at all versus like balancing that versus giving credibility to the Democratic Party and whether you should even be a member of the Democratic Party at this point, given that like large scale stuff they use that as an excuse. They go, "You owe us your vote. We can do whatever they want."
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't think that actually balances out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's definitely a legitimate viewpoint. I'm not sure if I necessarily fully agree, but I think it's a very legitimate viewpoint.
Yeah. So, I don't know that we really had anything else to.
That was about it. Just wanted to bring some attention to the little right-wing shift we've got going on right now.
Yeah. So, we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Solidarity, comrades.